I will say, like, the logic rating for me on Corpile was extremely low. I will not use it. It's not displayable. Next up is possibly the worst item I've ever received in a book box, is the shining light in what otherwise would have been a complete waste of money of a box. Hello my angels, welcome back to another video. My name is Ro and today we're doing the book box battle for January. Now, there is a reason that this is late. There are several reasons. The first reason is that I'm useless, so it's taken me a while to get to these books. In general as well, I've just been busy and stressed, and you guys know this, so I'm not going to go into it, but exams and accountancy exams, blah blah blah, you all know. Shit like that. However, this video was actually meant to go up about 2 weeks ago. So it would have gone up in April. However, somebody deleted every single clip that we had of me talking about This Woven Kingdom, which was the Illumicrate book, and thought we had deleted all of the Only a Monster ones, but you managed to get the last clip.
I found the last one that was still on the camera. So that one you'll see after this one, which is filmed in a completely different location. It's just like the vlog. They'll all be in different locations and then we'll come back to this one to finish it off.
Yeah, so this vlog is going to be a little bit all over the place because we don't have any of the vlog clips from when I actually read This Woven Kingdom. We only have the very last clip of me talking about Only a Monster. But the first clip of Only a Monster, I'd only read 100 pages or so, so the last clip of it, I only did 2 clips total for it, so that's okay. And we did still have the final clip that I did that day of all of the items at the end as well. So you have the end of this video, but this first clip I'm gonna have to go through and talk about This Woven Kingdom to you because I've not talked about it much near the end because I've gone, oh, you heard this earlier in the clip, but you didn't because Jordan deleted it. He doesn't back anything up. Nope. Which I didn't know.
Living on the edge.
So I'm going to try and remember my reactions and just kind of like go over it in general with you. It's not going to be super in-depth because I'm probably don't remember a lot of it. So this is the January book box battle and it's coming out in May. But I've started the February one already. So hopefully that will come at the beginning of June-ish, I think, because I'm reading Daughter of the Moon Goddess now, but then I actually have exams at the start of June. So then I will read A River Enchanted, which is the February Illumicrate. So that's fine. And then I'll try and catch up as we go. I think after my exams, we should be better on catching up, but...
You heard it here first. I will not be deleting any more clips.
Ever.
Ever. They're all going to be on my PC forever.
Right, okay.
But, you're welcome.
The clown is leaving now. Godspeed.
Good luck.
Good luck. Okay, let's talk about This Woven Kingdom. So, this book, I ended up giving 5 stars. Now, I'm trying to remember all of my reactions kind of in between. The kind of long and short of it was, I really, really loved the build-up between the 2 main characters. I really felt like the romance was, and the tension was there without it being too rushed or too like love at first sight. Even though I feel like it was technically love at first sight, nothing actually happened. And it felt like they were kind of denying it and trying not to go near each other and things like that before anything else happened. So it did still feel like there was a good build-up despite them being extremely kind of drawn to each other from the get-go. It felt very star-crossed lovers, kind of like Romeo and Juliet-esque because they're from kind of 2 families or 2 different backgrounds that are rivals for a certain reason. Not rivals, but enemies for a certain reason. I will not say why. So that I really, really loved. And essentially the male character, I can't remember their names, Cameron, he basically simps for Alicia, who is the female character. He just full on simps for her throughout the entire book. Despite being told like she's dangerous, blah blah blah, he's like, but she's hot though, but like in a, not just hot, like she is the most beautiful creature I've ever seen in my life. Like I would do anything for this woman, I would die for this woman, I will kneel for this woman, like stuff like that. And it's what she deserves and it's what every woman deserves. So it's what I wanted, to be honest. It really wasn't what I expected. There was a lot less of like the political-esqueness and more of the romance. This is more towards the, you know, adult side of things. I wouldn't say it was an adult book. I'd say it's definitely a YA type story, but written in an adult style, if that makes sense. It's kind of the usual YA trope of like, oh, forbidden romance, clashing empires, and a long forgotten queen destined to save her people. I will say the synopsis is very boring compared to what you actually get. Now, actually though, I have seen a few lesser ratings for this. I've seen, especially Jodie from Vanilla Moon has rated this like 2 stars. So I don't know if it was just me, like something in this really spoke to me, because I've seen a couple of people not rate it super high, but a couple of my patrons read it after I read it because I really, really recommended it and they've really loved it. So you know, I feel like it's one of those ones that I've given 5 stars. I wouldn't say it's an objective 5 stars, if that makes sense. I would say I would only recommend this to like a particular type of person. I wouldn't like blanket recommend this to everyone, if that makes sense. It's really a niche thing that if you're looking for this type of story, that's what you're in the mood for, then that's what will, you know, do well for you. I'm trying to think, because it's quite a long book, and also this edition is stunning. I am trying to think like what else happened, but there was just a lot of build up. I do feel like Alicia, how badass she was like the opposite of cliche in my opinion. Like I felt like it was really done really well. Like the kind of slow build up of like seeing how powerful she actually is. She's kind of understated at the beginning. She's quite humble, like things like that. I just really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that build up. There were a few rushed things, honestly, in terms of like relationship with his dad, like Cameron's relationship with his dad, the king and stuff. But honestly, I think the romance kind of, it brought it up to that 5 stars for me. I kind of didn't care about anything else despite what happened, because it was so good. Like the bits that I did love, I loved so much that it kind of trumped everything else. The ending was also really, really explosive. Although I would admit the ending was a little bit rushed as well. In terms of like a character that gets introduced near the end, is meant to be kind of like a bad character or a villain type character or something. And they are mentioned earlier in the book, but it's not obvious it's him when he turns up, and then it kind of just all happens at once. And I wish there had been a bit more of a build up with that character or an interaction with that character earlier on, rather than it just being like, oh, this happened and now this is the situation and that's it. Definitely a cliffhanger ending, and I'm very excited. I really do hope that it's like a polyamorous type situation, because I feel like that it's setting up to possibly be that way, but then it could also just be setting up for I was gonna say a threesome. God, I wish. Setting up for a love triangle, which I feel like has not happened recently in a lot of books that I've read. I don't know if it's like a trend that's like going or like leaving, because it was a very obviously big trend back in the day with YA in particular. They put one in Hunger Games, put one in Twilight, you know, it was in everything. Also, I do want to quickly mention, I don't know if I mentioned it later in the clips, but some people have said when they read this physically, like the gold has like rubbed off because of, I guess you're like kind of, your hands get like sweaty and then it rubs off. So they have said that, but I listened to this on Scribd. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I would highly recommend it. And obviously Scribd is like, you can get 2 months free with someone's link and this and that. So it's free to listen to essentially. I would definitely go for that over like buying it, because the narrator's really good anyway and the audiobook's really good anyway. I don't really have loads else to say. I feel like it could have been shorter, or other bits could have been longer with you know, more downtime being shorter, if that makes sense. Like certain scenes I think could have been longer and more fleshed out, but I did love in general the main plot, I would say, is more romance, and then the subplot is like, oh, there's like warring kingdoms. Who cares? Not me. I just care about the love. But yeah, overall this is like one of those really surprising 5 stars, and I really love those. If you really are not expecting a 5 star, you've not predicted it in any way, this is how I felt going into this. I actually felt really worried going into this, because Shatter Me, I've not read, but I've heard like really mixed things. It's quite an old YA series, you know, it's got its problems and issues because it's from that era. So I was a bit like, oh god, like I'm not quite sure. And I think I had heard some kind of mixed reviews before going into this as well. If I remember correctly, I just remember hearing like it was too long and like it was boring and nothing happened, but I really liked it. I really liked it, and I surprised myself, and I'm very pleased that I liked it. I love when this happens. It's one of my favourite things that happens, and that's why I recommend not reading synopses before going in as well, in general, of books. I'm trying to think what else is in this, because I read it a month ago now. There's some good banter. Oh, the writing. Oh, okay, yes, sorry, the writing, I'm remembering now. The writing is sort of like Bridgerton-esque, and I say that in sort of like a Regency romance era sort of type speaking, where it's very formal, and it's like, oh, sir, I beg of you not to, you know, report this or whatever, you know, like I'm just making up dialogue at the moment, but that sounded really stupid, but you guys get what I mean. But the whole book is written like that, and I really love that era, and I really love that way of speaking. In particular, when Cameron is speaking to Alicia, he says something along the lines of like, if I could get you the moon, I would, or something like that. I feel like I want to Google this quote now, because I feel like I did, if I'm remembering correctly, I did back in the clip that I did do. A couple of things he says to her. He says, "Though if you mean to take me captive, you need only ask, I would come willingly." Yes. And then also, so this is kind of like a, what's the word? A taster of how they speak. So she says, "Are you as mad as you sound, sir?" And he says, "That is twice now you have called me sir," he said, a slight smile on his lips. "I can't say I care for it." And so it's like very, I don't even know how to describe it, just very formal, and I just really like the banter that you get with that formal type of stuff. And I'm trying to find that one about the moon. Okay, I can't find the one about the moon, but it's making me think that I really want to try out Shatter Me. So I will be trying out Shatter Me at some point, because I really love the writing in this. I don't know how different this is to Shatter Me, because Shatter Me is like a dystopian-esque type YA, so very different. But yeah, 5 stars. And now you're going to see more clips of me, but it's going to kind of rewind, because I'm currently in May. But these clips are going to rewind back to April, when I read Only a Monster, or it might be beginning of May. I don't even know, because this is going to be so chopped and changed out of order. Again, apologies for the lateness of this vlog, but hopefully we will be getting back on track. So enjoy the rest of the vlog. Hello angels, I have just finished Only a Monster. It is actually Sunday the 1st of May, but I am counting this for April because I don't care. I'm treating this bank holiday as an extension of April, because I've slumped for so long in April. I wasn't able to take part in the Magical Readathon and Realmathon to the extent that I would have liked. So that's just how it works. It's just how it's going. I'm cheating. I don't care. Lovely Fairyloot edition. We'll start with my rating before I get into kind of like the nitty gritty of like kind of the end of the book. Essentially, overall thoughts is like, it's a really unique concept. I don't think this has ever really been done in terms of like, at least in a popular fashion. I think I've said this in a previous thing, but I've not heard of anything like this before. I will say, like, the logic rating for me on Core Pile was extremely low, but everything else was so good that it kind of did balance out, and it did end up actually at a 4.5 stars. Core Pile version 3 this year does throw out half stars for you. I don't think I would have thought it would be a 4.5 star. I think I would have just rated it a 4. But then when I think about, I recently finished These Violent Delights and I rated that 4.5. I think I had a similar experience with Only a Monster, where there were certain things in the logic that kind of held it back, that one tiny bit that wouldn't really make it a 5 star. Overall though, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I feel like it's very unique. The concept's very good. The concept of the families, all different families with a different kind of power, is very reminiscent of Shadowhunters. So if you do like Shadowhunters, I think you really will enjoy this. The one thing I'm confused about before I get into anything else is on the Fairyloot edition, on the front here, we have the guy and like a mermaid. And the bookmark that came with it as well, same guy, mermaid thing at the bottom. This guy in this book is not even the main character. He's not even the main love interest in this book. But it makes me think that possibly he will be in later books, because I looked it up and this is actually going to be a trilogy. However, it's very well rounded in that there is no real plot to continue with other than the big bad. You don't really, you know, the big bad isn't completely gone. So I assume a whole new threat is going to have to emerge in the second book, maybe from the same big bad, but it's going to have to be a completely different type of threat, because the original threat has been completely, what's the word, kind of just like gone, reduced to nothing. But I would be very interested to see if something pops up again, if certain characters pop up again. After finishing this, I am very confused that the bookmark and like the naked hardcover is focused on this one character, Aaron, because he's not, like, I don't know why it's not the main character, Joan. I have no idea why it's not her. Also, the mermaid, right, so the logic parts that I didn't like about this, so this book is about monsters, but they're not really monsters in the way you'd think. It's not like vampires, werewolves. I actually kind of wish that she'd come up with a different name for the type of thing that they are. You know, like how in Marvel you have Inhumans or mutants, like not stuff like that, but like a different word that she'd come up with herself rather than monsters. Because the word monster, I guess, for me there was a disconnect between the word monster and then the actual physicality of the monsters, I guess. And also some of the powers were very confusing on who had what power. Right, so in the synopsis, Good Samaritan attempt gone wrong sends Joan spinning through time. So the spinning through time thing I thought was specific to Joan's family, because there are lots of different families and each of them have a different power apparently, but that's not very clear in the beginning. It's not really set up very well for you to understand that in a clear way. And even though she does do something different in the prologue, I will say, I think it's so small that I'd like kind of forgotten about that. It's not like brought up again to remind you like that's what the family does. So I thought the spinning through time thing was her family's power for a while. And then when another family turns up and they can do the same thing, I thought, oh, maybe they're just rival families with the same power, same type of power. But no, it turns out that all monsters can go through time, but then all the different monster families also have a different particular power that's quite vague. It's not a power in the sense of like laser vision or like super strength or anything like that. They're all quite vague in that there's this nursery rhyme and it's like, oh, the Olivers can see, the Lius remember, and blah, 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 and it's quite vague. And I actually really, really enjoyed this element of the book. I loved this part. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was very interesting and just really, really good to read about, but I just wasn't clear at the beginning kind of how the whole hierarchy worked. I wish that the beginning had been a bit more clear on that. There's also several kind of spelling mistakes or like grammar mistakes throughout the book. I feel like I picked out at least 3. There was one she was on about stanching blood instead of staunching blood. Another thing here and there, but I try to move on from stuff like that because that's editing issues. It's not the author's fault that like editing hasn't caught that, or like publishing, or like before going to published. So, and there's nothing they can do about it afterwards. But sometimes it does take me out of it, but I try and like force myself to look past it and just get back into the book. I really like the purple edges. Now I know we're moving into more territory of like comparing the 2 boxes now and the 2 books. This ended up having half a star less than this Woven Kingdom, which was the Illumicrate book. But the items in Illumicrate were not good. But then the Illumicrate complete cover redesign was incredible. So in fact, I think this month, this January 2022 kind of fresh year for both boxes, this month might end up being more kind of even, but I'm going to go through some stats later on when I talk about the items in particular, and in particular about the different elements of each box and how much I like the books and how much the embellishments add into that and things. But overall, I'm just going to run through my core pile stuff for you. So I gave characters 8.5. I did get very, very emotional at some points, especially between Vanessa and Nick. Vanessa? That's the author's name. Between Joan and Nick, I got quite emotional. Atmosphere, I gave a 10 because I found that the world building and the novelty of this being such a new world to me really was just excellent, and I really think it's one of my favourite worlds to be in. As I was finishing the book and it kind of seemed like it might be a standalone, I was actually like sad. I was like, oh my god, I'd love to see more in this world. So that's why that's the only one that I've given a 10. Writing, I've given an 8 because I don't think there was anything in particularly really good or really bad about it. It was more along the good side. I liked the pace of the book. I think I did mention earlier on the beginning was a little bit fast. I think I would have liked the beginning to be stretched out a bit more, so we could spend a bit more time feeling sad about certain events. I didn't really feel sad about it or like happy when things came around in the end and stuff. So I think there could have been a bit more stretched out near the beginning. Plot I gave a 9 because I did feel like I was completely surprised by kind of every plot twist and the motivations behind certain people's plot twists or characters. I do feel like there was something slightly missing in terms of, I felt like there was some answers I should have gotten in this book, and I wasn't sure if it was a choice or if she had forgotten to wrap up that thread. I'm hoping that it's a choice and we will get to wrap up those threads in later books. So that's what kind of lost the 1 star for me with plot. Intrigue I gave an 8.5 because I think partly not knowing those plot threads kept me going as well in terms of intrigue and kept me wanting to turn the page. Like, why is he being so vague about his power? Why is she not saying this? Why is he not saying that? When is this going to come back around, kind of thing. So that intrigue kind of kept me going. The logic, which I've talked about, I gave it a 4.5, and the 4 on the core pile is like poor, a lot of good things, but the bad outweighs the good. That's my rating for the logic. I did feel like the kind of magic system and the way, like, so that with the time hopping thing, you can't go to a time that you are already in. The timeline won't let you do that. But I'm just wondering how you would know if another version of yourself isn't in like 1993 or something. You know, I think it was a bit flimsy, the logic for the time travel, but I kind of just went with it anyway. And then overall enjoyment, I gave it an 8.5. So really, really solid. Definitely will be picking up the sequel. Hopefully Fairyloot will do the sequel. I don't see why they wouldn't. Fairyloot are pretty good at doing sequels. Really enjoyed it. Really like the purple. I know everyone hates the purple, but I love the purple. Also, again, the artwork and the end papers, I mean, it's amazing. We're going to talk about this later when we go through the end kind of thoughts, but those are my wrapping up thoughts for Only a Monster. So that was a 4.5 star, and I'm actually really pleased. I'm actually going to spend the rest of the day reading because it's Sunday and I feel like I really want to read. I'm just in a reading mood and I'm going to capitalize on that. So I am going to go and read for the rest of the day, and then tomorrow I think I'm going to film the next clip that you're going to see, which will be the kind of wrapping up thoughts on both boxes, books and items together. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hello my angels, welcome back to the final clip for this book box battle vlog. I know it's been a long time coming. You guys know I've been busy, but we're here, we're queer, and we're going to get on with it. So today is going to be me doing the kind of final thoughts, final wrap up on these 2 boxes. These are the January boxes for Illumicrate and Fairyloot. I've got all of the items in front of me except for 2 that I have misplaced, and I cannot for the life of me find them. And I'm actually really annoyed because this is the point of me having all this stuff. I want to get rid of some of it, so that will be also happening at some point. But we're going to go through everything today. And we're going to go through the 2 boxes, going to go through the items, whether they are of good quality material-wise, is it useful, is it displayable, and will I use it regardless of if it's useful or blah blah blah, you know, things like that. Just like a pin, for example. It's not technically useful, but if it's displayable and lovely, then I'll use it regardless. It doesn't matter if it's useful or not. That kind of thing. Some of them I just put yes or no. Some of them I do put a rating, so like quality I've put high, medium or low. And then I've given it a rating out of 5 at the end for the item as well as giving the, you know, books a rating out of 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with Fairyloot because in my opinion, overall, Fairyloot has done the best this month, kind of stepping back and looking at the box as a whole. But when you break it down, I do think they are quite even, only because of certain things, and we're going to get into it right now. So, starting off the Fairyloot box, there was a scythe pin. Now, it's on a pin flag, but I'm showing you it here. This, gorgeous, lovely. The quality of this is very high. The shine on it, the reflection on it is really, really nice. The design is good, so the quality for me there is really high. Is it useful? The answer is going to be no, but it is displayable and it is pretty, so I will use it regardless. And this has got the highest rating out of all the items for the Fairyloot here. I've given it a 5 out of 5 for I love this, I will use this, I would like to keep this item, essentially. Apologies if the angle is different, my camera's run out of battery. Anyway, continuing on, yes, scythe pin, 5 out of 5, loved it, beautiful, brilliant, perfect. Next up we have a bookmark. And this is actually to do with the book, so this is related to the book. I do like this trend that Fairyloot are doing in terms of they are having one item related to the book in question, but I don't think they did have one in the recent box, Blood Scion. I don't think for the April box they had one to do with the thing, so I don't know if it was meant to be a monthly thing, because they did it in the January and in the February box. But I don't think they did it in March and April. They might have done it in March, but we'll get there. Did we get a Gallant themed thing in March? Oh no, that's Illumicrate. See where I'm getting confused. Anyway, this is high quality. I've put high quality for this one. I've put, is it useful? Yes. Is it displayable? Technically no. Technically yes. You could like lean it up against, you know, the shelves, the books on the shelf. Will I use it regardless? The answer is yes. I love a good tassel, I love a good metal bookmark, I love a good cutout. And I used it whilst reading the main book, which I wish they would do just like a metal bookmark every month to do with the book, kind of similarly to how Illumicrate did their pin every month for the book. I wish that there was something related to the book in every box. So this overall got a 4 out of 5, only because it's not super displayable and it's quite specific to this man on the cover. Next up, we have this tea towel, and this is from these Hollow Vows, and I will, obviously there is more detail of me doing this in my unboxing, but here is it kind of on its side. This is very low quality for me. It doesn't feel like proper tea towel material. It feels like that material when, if you're trying to dry a dish, like it would just like move the water around and like possibly get like fluff on the dishes, like that kind of stuff. I'd say this is quite low quality. The print is really faded, and even the print itself isn't that unique. It's just kind of a quote with a few embellishments around the edges. So this is probably the worst item in the box for me. I will not use it. It's not displayable. It's technically useful, but it's not actually useful because it's that material, like I said, that doesn't actually dry things properly. So I will probably be letting this go. Next, we had a puzzle. This is a Monsters of Verity puzzle. The artwork is gorgeous. So I don't know if I want to maybe do this puzzle and try and glue it down and make it into a print or something. I'm not a big fan of puzzles for that reason, because as we go into our things, it's not displayable without purchasing extra, you know, things on top of it. The quality I'd say is medium. I think I did open it. Did I not open it? I didn't even open it. I said the quality is medium and I didn't even open it. I feel like I should open it just to check the quality. Is it useful? I put no. Is it displayable? I put no. Will I use it regardless? And I put no. So this got a 2 out of 5 for me, only because I just won't use it. I feel like the rating may go up if I possibly would actually be able to mount it on something, but I'm lazy and I can't be asked to do that. Oh, and I didn't mention, but the tea towel got a 1 out of 5 for me. So you do have a little cardboard print in there. I'd say this is a fairly good quality cardboard for Jigsaw. But there's only so much you can do, but that's okay. I probably will keep this only because I haven't read this series yet. I think I would regret letting go of it if I read the series and I really liked it, because I do like V. Schwab, but this did get a 2 out of 5 for me. We did also have, the last item was a trinket dish with James Herondale on, which I have misplaced. I swear I saw it literally the other day. I don't know where I've put it. I could not tell you where it's gone. So it's somewhere in this room. I will get Jord to try and get like a clip from my unboxing, but if you do really want to go and see the items in particular, you probably have already watched my unboxing, but it is, you know, linked in the cards. The trinket dish, I did write the quality was medium to high. I put, is it useful? Yes. Is it displayable? No, not without buying an extra thing. And I put, will I use it regardless? Yes. However, I'm sick of trinket dishes. I have about 5 currently. I don't need any more. There's just too many of them. I do not need all of them. But then at the same time, then I suppose I could sell on the ones that I don't need, in terms of like, I haven't actually read that Shadowhunters series yet, like that particular one, which I think is Lady Midnight and all those. I have not actually read those yet. So I don't think it's Lady Midnight, actually. I think it's the sequel one, Chain of Thorns and all that, Chain of Iron maybe. Sorry for getting it wrong. But yes, overall, the items in this box got a 3.2 out of 5. That's pretty good. It's not like the worst. I wouldn't say it was the best box, but it wasn't the worst. It had 2 really good items in the pin and the trinket dish. The bookmark was very high quality as well, I will say. So 3 kind of good items, but 2 well, I would honestly say the tea towel brought it down by quite a lot. In terms of the embellishments of the book, so we do have hand-signed stenciled edge, we have art on the end papers, and we have an exclusive cover, which I think is just a slightly different shade, possibly. I can't quite remember what the original cover is, but I think when they say exclusive cover, most of the time it's just a colour change, other than the completely redesigned cover that we do have for Illumicrate. And you've seen my thoughts on Only a Monster in the previous clips, so this ended up being a 4.5 star. Just that one little thing that made it off being a 5 star, but overall a really, really solid box. If you think about it, 4.5 add 3.2 is 7.7 out of 10. If you want to, you know, add it all up and have the items and the thing together, that's pretty good. That's like 3/4 of the way there. Pretty solid box, actually. Pretty good box to start out the year, start out 2022. So Fairyloot, like a really good showing for them this time around. Moving on swiftly to Illumicrate, which I also have another item that I've misplaced somehow. Now, Illumicrate, I don't know what the fuck has been happening with Illumicrate, but their items have been absolute shite for a good few months now. April actually was the only time they brought it back, but then the book wasn't great. So, you know, apples and oranges. But let's just start out. We're starting out with this necklace. It's got like a sun on one side and a moon on the other side. This is to do with the Bone Witch, I think, or maybe a different one. I'm not sure. This, I've written the quality is low, because the chain feels really cheap. It does feel like it could snap quite easily. The gold itself looks cheap. This is why I don't particularly like gold jewelry. I think if it's not actual gold and it's just gold plated, it can look super cheap. I'd say it's sturdy, but it just looks cheap. So the quality I have written in low. Useful? No. Displayable? Yes. I have actually hung this on the side of my TBR cart because there's like little things that you can hang off the edge. Will I use it regardless? The answer is no. I would never wear this around my neck. It's too bulky. I don't like it. This is about as much bulk as I can get, and I like it because it's a dragon. Whereas this, it's just not. It just looks like a fucking time turner. Like, it's just not good. And the fandom, not a fan. I've not read the books. I have ordered the Bone Witch from Illumicrate though, so I do have high hopes for the series, but I've heard like mixed things, but they were pretty, so you know me, can't really resist. Next we had fluffy socks, and as you can see I've already worn these because they've been washed. Now these are the best item of this box. They are from Priory of the Orange Tree, and they have a little dragon under an orange tree, and they're fluffy and they are fabulous. I have put the quality of these as medium because some of the thread definitely looks like it could come off quite easily on the embroidery. I think some of the threads are a little bit not filled in, or, you know, not quite perfect, but the medium, the fluffiness of them themselves is really nice. You can see in like cheap socks, cheap fluffy socks in Primark, or cheap socks in general, the outside can be really smooth, but when you actually put your hand in it, it's really fucking disgustingly viscose and like horrible inside. So these are fluffy inside and out. These are the best item of the box. Quality medium. Is it useful? Yes. Is it displayable? No. But will I use it regardless? Yes. And this got a 5 out of 5 for me. Sorry, the necklace got a 2 out of 5. It's just who cares? Next up is possibly the worst item I've ever received in a book box, and that is this Prison Healer phone stand. So it goes in like that, and then you put your phone on that bit, and then there's like something there, so like it stands on your desk. This is the cheapest ass phone stand I've ever seen in my life. The design itself, I'm not really super mad at. This quote looks horrible. It says, "You're a survivor." Disgusting, not good, horrific, cheap plastic. And if I tell you that Illumicrate also gave us a phone stand last year, and it was wooden, had Howl's Moving Fucking Castle on it, and it's engraved, and it's wooden and solid. The comparison, honey, I don't see how you can choose to do that when you've already done that last year. This is horrific. I've given it 1 star. The phone stand, I put quality low. Is it useful? Technically yes. Is it displayable? Technically yes. Will I use it? No. Absolutely not. I'm getting rid of this as soon as I can. Next we have another fucking Jigsaw. I don't like the fandom. It's We Hunt the Flame. I didn't like the book. I'm really sorry. It's all just in there. The artwork is beautiful. Artwork, beautiful. The artwork, let's be honest, art on most of the stuff that they always do is beautiful. It's just the quality is not great. Jigsaws, I'm not bothered. I gave this a 1 out of 5, only because I put quality medium, useful, no, displayable, no, will I use it regardless, no. That's why it's gotten a 1 star, and I don't like the fandom either. So for me, that's a 1 star. So like, I do incorporate my feelings about the fandom into the star rating as well, so it is very, very subjective. I just want to point that out for people. I mean, in general, obviously ratings for books are subjective as well, but just so you guys know, I don't care about this. And then the one thing that I can't find was the extra book, and that was the Ivory Key. It did have a sprayed edge. It was like a blue sprayed edge. So I've written kind of NA for all the fandom quality, blah, blah, blah. But I've heard really mixed things about that book, so I have not started it. And I feel like I'm probably gonna unhaul it without reading, because it is on Scribd, I think, as well, for free. So if I did want to read it, I would just read it on there. But I've heard very, very mixed things about the book, that it's too long, like it just there's no like purpose for it. You know, the characters have no purpose, like it's just not good apparently. I am probably not going to read it, unfortunately. However, this book is the shining light in what otherwise would have been a complete waste of money of a box. And that is this Woven Kingdom. First of all, talking about literally just the embellishments. This is a completely redesigned naked hardcover. The foiling is gorgeous. The sprayed edge or stenciled edge, also gorgeous. This is what I always want. Now, I don't know how book boxes work with budget for each box, but if there is a budget for every particular box, and if something like this does cost more, then I understand why the items were not as good in this box if we got to get this. However, I think I would rather have something like this every single month and have like even just 2 items like they do with their big boxes, you know, like the From Blood and Ash box, the Nevernight box, things like that. I would die. I would die for that. I would love that. This book as well got a 5 star from me. I feel like it's quite a controversial opinion. I feel like a lot of people did not like it loads, but I liked it loads, and you've seen my thoughts on it, so I'm not going to go into detail again, but this did get a 5 stars. So overall, the items got a 2.4, the book got a 5. So if we're adding up kind of like we did on Fairyloot, that is a 7.4 out of 10. Now, overall, that does make Fairyloot win this month. And I'm going to stick by that. I think Fairyloot has won January, but Illumicrate were not that far behind, and it's only because of the embellishments of this book and the fact that I really, really love the book's contents in general. So that is what kind of saved Illumicrate for January, was the embellishments. We have hand-signed, stenciled edge, exclusive cover, exclusive end papers as well. But yes, I will be getting rid of most of the Illumicrate items. In fact, probably 4 out of the 5. And the Fairyloot I will be keeping majority and getting rid of just like 1 or 2. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I do know that this has been a long time coming, a long time in the waiting. I do apologise. I am planning on really, really catching up in May and June on all of the other boxes. The March one is not going to be too long because both Gallant and The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea are very short. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Dora the Moon Goddess is going to be my first read of May, and what's the other one? This Enchanted River or something. The Scottish one from Illumicrate basically is on Scribd as well, so I can do that very, very quickly. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you did enjoy, please do give this video a like below. Give me a little like punching emoji in the comments if you were here but you didn't really have anything to say but wanted to let me know that you were here. Make sure you subscribe to get all of the future content from me in your inbox. I'm back to 3 videos a week. Who is she? It's me. All of my links are in the description, including my Patreon. And if you don't know what goes on my Patreon, then this is what you're missing out on.
I know what we have to say. I had the chips, you know!
You were getting in my way!
Get the chips!
I
You fucked it!
I know what I'm doing.
No!
Oh shit.
Speaking of my Patreon, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone at my deity tier. So that is Becca, Meg, Rachel, Lisa, Lydia, Mercy, Sarah, Tori, Liv, Adinda, Celeste, Britt, Marloose, Kay, Lauren, Kate, Kendra, Ashley, Hannah, William, Chris, Andy, Frog, Lynn, Amy, Jenny, Hattie, Katie, Aslaug, and Chloe. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!